Hello, you're tuning into Đồng Nai radio and television station, coming first with local news. Before the complicated developments of the COVID-19 pandemic, Secretary of the Biên Hòa Party Committee Võ Văn Chánh had an urgent meeting on July the 14th with the Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control in Biên Hòa City and connected online with the People's Committees of the provinces, wards and communes in order to continue implementing solutions to prevent and control pandemics in the area. According to the report, the activity of tracing the outbreaks is continuing to be actively carried out, basically managing and isolating those at risk. Localities also actively arrange and arrange temporary isolation areas to cope with the epidemic situation. The city has established isolation and blockade areas for infected areas, sprayed disinfectants, and took samples for thousands of small traders at markets. At the meeting, the Secretary of the Party Committee of Biên Hòa asked localities to continue to urgently investigate and trace outbreaks to blockade and promptly handle them, strengthen screening and detection of outbreaks in markets, hotels, especially in industrial zones, to take the earliest measures to prevent the disease from spreading in the community. According to Deputy Head of the Management Board of Đồng Nai Industrial Parks, Phạm Văn Cường, there have been many companies contacting to register to arrange temporary accommodation for workers at the company to prevent and control the COVID-19 pandemic. As of July the 13th, there are about 50 industrial enterprises registered in the implementation of the project layout places of temporary residence for workers. To create the most favorable conditions for enterprises when receiving dossiers, the management board was reduced to the minimums of procedures and requires businesses committed to comply with the judgment and will post audits. Most businesses now are with host mode support for workers when staying in the company. Nearly 10 tons of essential goods are being packed into 1,500 gift packages by Buddhists at the Phước Lâm Pagoda, belonging to the Buddhist Association of Biên Hòa City. All are ready to be transported to help people in difficult circumstances in areas that are being blocked because of the COVID-19 epidemic in Biên Hòa City and in Thống Nhất District, Đồng Nai Province. In the blocked areas in these days, many charitable social activities have also been carried out by many benefactor agencies and units, in which the Red Cross Society at all levels promptly mobilized billions of dong in cash, tens of tons of vegetables and fruits to support the blockade residential areas in Đồng Nai Province. The association has also mobilized to help many people in difficult circumstances due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in Ho Chi Minh City and Biên Sơn Province. New Zealand media quoted Prime Jacinda Ardern said summit as Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation in the form of online is expected to focus discussions on cooperation to prevent COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister Ardern said that the global economy can only recover after people of all countries are vaccinated and the pandemic is contained. New Zealand Prime Minister also called on all nations to abandon the approach under nationalist, narrow-minded, deploy forms necessary cooperation to jointly overcome the pandemic. New Zealand announced the hosting of the APEC summit on July the 16th. This informal meeting is expected to take place for 2 hours and be attended by U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Cambodian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation on July the 14th issued a statement on the results of the ASEAN-US Foreign Ministers meeting taking place on the same day in an online format. Release stating conference-focused exchange of views on the importance of new jobs, dialogue relations, ASEAN-US cooperation, economic recovery, and mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. The same regional and global issues of common interest, ASEAN highly appreciates the commitment of the U.S. to the goal of reviewing its partnership and cooperation with ASEAN, especially in the current challenging context. The ASEAN foreign ministers thanked U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken for reaffirming the U.S. support for ASEAN centrality and efforts to build the ASEAN community. That's all for the news today. Thank you for joining us and goodbye.